Hello, this is part 2 of Week 2 English 113. For your field research for your profile essay, you are going to be going somewhere and interviewing someone. So just a couple of highlights from the reading from the St. Martin's Guide regarding the chapter about finding your sources and conducting field research. You'll find that reading on pages 682 to 689. Obviously, you want to be prepared. If there's a need for you to do a little background research and information, make sure you do that. Know where you're going. Be on time, of course. Be dressed appropriately. Be very observant of what you see, even before you do your interview. What's the environment like? Is it calm and relaxed? Is it busy, hustle and bustle? Where exactly are you? Analyze the events going on and try to get a perspective before you do your interview. You'll want to take notes, write down any keywords or phrases, any quotes that catch you as a notable moment. Write down any impressions or ideas that you get, any feelings, and perhaps you'll want to take pictures or draw diagrams to impress upon the vision of your setting and be able to help you write a very detailed essay about your profile. Describe the setting, describe the people. The tricky part with that is don't do too much. Focus on what's important, cut out the extraneous, but make sure use your description to draw the reader in, to create a mood, to create a good sense of what it looks like in the environment. Review your notes once you're done with your interview so that you can have all of the information fresh in your mind. Perhaps you can't write during the interview, but if you can write afterward briefly and quickly, you can get things down so that you don't forget them. Be informed about your subject. Make any arrangements necessary. If you need to make an appointment ahead of time to speak to someone, make sure that they're available and tell them the reason that you're going to want to speak with them. Be prepared. Again, arrive on time. Thank them for their time. You might want to even come up with a questionnaire and leave it if it's not appropriate for the person to meet with you. When you ask your questions, try not to ask yes or no questions, but try to ask questions that will allow the person to elaborate on what it is that they're talking about. And this is covered in the St. Martin's Guide. You can read more about that. And I want to transition to talk a little bit about the similarities and differences between the remembered event and the profile essay. So the remembered event essay, which you have just concluded this week, was an autobiographical essay where you are the main character. It's about something that happened in your life, and you're thinking back to the past, you're recalling your thoughts and feelings. You have in your story the elements of a plot diagram where basically there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you have characters and you have a setting and you have a conflict, and hopefully in the course of the story the conflict gets resolved and you learn a lesson. And this specific one was relative to your spiritual journey. So the profile essay is a little bit different in that you could be a partial character as an observer or a spectator, but you're not the main character. You can be a part of it because it's you doing the interview, but it's not all about you. It's about your perspective of something else. So you're a narrator rather than the main character. It's less personal. You should be more objective in this essay. You don't have a personal stake in it, and you're providing us with information that you are learning. You didn't have this prior information. So in doing that, you're giving us new information through your gathering of it. You're summarizing it, you're paraphrasing it, putting it into your own words, what you've learned. So those are how they're different. The similarities in these two essays is that they both include a dominant impression where you are providing with the reader your mood, your thoughts, your feelings throughout. You're still a part of it, and what you think and what you feel is still important, and that's woven all throughout the essay. You are including details and descriptions. You will include dialogue, conversation between you and whoever's involved. You can make your writing more meaningful and more vivid by using similes and metaphors, where you describe things, you're comparing things. Something is like something else, or it's as big as something else. When you use a simile or a metaphor, it's a way to make your writing more vivid, but when you're comparing two things, those two things cannot ever literally be. Okay, you can't say her smile was as big as mine. That's not a simile. You could say her smile was as big as the biggest rainbow in the sky, because that could never literally be. So it's a far stretch, but it's done in order to make a point and to create an image. Another similarity between these two essays is that you're going to consider your audience. What do they know? What will they assume? And so you'll offer your insight based on what you think your audience knows about your topic or what they think about your topic. Okay, you're going to give your opinion, your thoughts, and your feelings throughout. So as you can see, these two essays do have a running trend of things that will overlap, and that might be easier for you in writing, but I did want to point out that they do have some distinct differences. And so as we wrap up the lecture for the profile essay, I wanted to help you brainstorm about what your possible topics could be. Do you have something that interests you already, or a person, a place, but would you have any trouble with getting an interview? Perhaps there's not a specific person you would interview, but maybe there's a place you would go, like the UCR Botanic Gardens, and you would sit and look around and describe all of the things that you see. Maybe you would describe the people that are there. Perhaps you could, though, talk with a professional that works there. It just makes it that much more helpful and personal to speak with someone, and that will get you your dialogue and such. And you want to figure out, what's your purpose? What's your point? To just go and sit in a pretty place and describe it really doesn't give a point to your writing. So you want to figure out what is it that is your point. If you have a preconceived notion that a certain place is the busiest place in town, maybe you're going to go there to observe that and then prove that that's the case, or find out that that's not the case. But you want to come up with a reason for your writing. Consider your prior knowledge. Do you know anything ahead of time? Or maybe do you think you know something? Maybe you have a bias, but you don't have clear information, but maybe you have an opinion. So that would be something that you could use to figure out, did you change your mind by the time it's all done? And do you think something differently? Will you be writing as a spectator or as an active participant? And then, what assumptions can you make about your audience? Your audience would be your peers and your teacher. So is it safe to assume that they know nothing about your topic and you're going to fully inform them of something that's completely foreign and new to them? Or is it safe to assume that there's a general knowledge, a general level of understanding of whatever the place is or the person is that you're going to go talk about? If there's no prior knowledge, you need to consider as a writer how much you want to give them of background information. Okay? So your essay prompt, which is due, this essay is due in week 3, so this is your week to gather your information, begin your pre-writing. This is going to be a 3-page essay where you will visit a place, meet a person, or attend an event. You'll describe the interaction. You'll present information about your subject in an interesting and engaging manner. And so, as part of doing that, again, you want to talk to the people associated with this place or this event. So, it says you will be required to interview at least one person who is intimately related to your profile subject. And in doing so, you're going to cover these 4 components as part of your essay: your detailed information, a clear plan of writing, the role of you, the writer, and what's your perspective on the subject. when you do your draft, you'll want to submit it by day 5 to Smart Thinking in order to get your feedback from your rough draft. So your essay's not due until week 3, but this week is very important. You need to pick your topic, you need to go do your research, your interview, and you need to do all of your pre-writing in your journals so that you can figure out how it is you want to present your paper. The sooner you can get that done and submit this to Smart Thinking for your online CBU tutoring, the better off you'll be with giving yourself time to do your revisions for your final draft. And I made a rubric for you. This is the grading rubric, and I wanted you to see how the paper will be graded. This is a 100-point essay. Half of the essay's grade is based on your details, the way you present all of your information. 15 points goes to your clear plan. Does it clearly have a beginning, middle, and end? Is it a topical essay? Is it chronologically written? Are there transitions that indicate to the writer what's coming next? 5 points for you as the role of the writer. Are you involved? Are you observing? Are you hands-on? 20 points for your perspective, your dominant impression, your feelings, your thoughts woven all throughout your message, what you learned. And then the last 10 points is for the grammar, the mechanics. 3 pages, few errors, grammar, proofreading, spelling, the quotations in your dialogue, all of that. Okay? So I wish you the very best of luck, and I look forward to getting perhaps some emails or some texts with questions, some ideas, bouncing off some ideas. How about this? I was thinking about that. Please feel free to ask me anything you need. I'm always available for you. And as I conclude, a couple of reminders. Let's get those topics approved as soon as you can. Let's begin your field research so that you can go do your interview and work on your journal entries to get you going on writing that rough draft. And I hope you have a very blessed week. Thank you for listening.